episode 10 on choosing yourself. So, are you ready to unlock your healing power, to turn your wounds into wisdom, to replace the fear of the unknown with courage to face it head on? If so, welcome to the Empowered Transformational Healing Podcast, a beacon of hope in your healing journey. I am your host, Krystal J, and now I would love for you to imagine this space as a sanctuary where we unravel the tightly knotted threads of our past traumas, where we transform our secret silent cries of pain into powerful roars of strength, a place where we finally break free from the invisible chains that are holding us hostage. It's time to stop questioning who you are and start discovering your authentic self. This is not just about survival. It's about thriving. It's about embracing the journey of transformational healing that leads you to live a life filled with joy, passion, and purpose. Each week, we will dive into powerful conversations, share inspirational stories, and sometimes heartbreaking stories, because guess what? It's all real and it's all true. And we'll provide practical tools that will empower you to navigate through life's challenges. So no matter where you are in your healing journey, this podcast here is designed to help you tap into your inner strength and embrace your uniqueness and awaken with your full potential. So now, let's begin. Hey, it's me, the Empowerment Goddess, Krystal J, with another life-changing episode of the Empowered Transformational Healing Podcast with me, Krystal J. Now, today's episode is where we will be discussing the empowering concept of choosing yourself. Biggie, right? So let's make sure that we like, we comment, and we share, because this is an episode literally for everyone, because everyone should begin with choosing yourself and knowing what that means and how we do that. So let's get into choosing yourself. What does it mean? Have you heard this phrase before? Now, at its core, choosing yourself means taking responsibility for yourself, for your actions, for your well-being. It means acknowledging that you have the power to control your own life and the things that are within your life. So yes, we are in control of if we succeed at the things that we try. We are in control of the things that may happen to us because we are in control of our reactions to actions, right? And another way to say what choosing yourself is, it means making a conscious decision to leaving survival mode and trauma behind, to embracing your authentic self, to discovering who you are, to thriving in life, to having purpose and passion and joy and peace. It means showing yourself self-compassion and a willingness to make positive changes in your life. It means prioritizing and filling your cup, establishing and enforcing healthy boundaries. It means that you're taking time to self-reflect. And one thing about choosing yourself that is important is that you allow yourself to live a life that is true to you and your values. You see, as I mentioned many times before, we start life and, as soon as we come out of the womb, we're like a sponge and we take in what everyone around us is doing. We build around those things. So a lot of times people are like, oh, you remind me of such and such. Like a lot of times we tell my middle child that he does so much things that reminds of his big brother. Or our daughter, different things that she do reminds us of the different females in her life. It's about taking these things that we are learning from other people, deciding what really fits with us and what doesn't. So that means some of your values may change. For example, I have one person that I know. She grew up always with her family celebrating Christmas, doing Santa, celebrating Jesus's birth, all the Christmas things that we do around this time of year. And one year, she decided to sit down and have a talk with her kids. And they actually stopped celebrating Christmas. They weren't against it, but they just stopped celebrating Christmas because, one, she was like, Santa's not real. And two, she was like, where in the Bible does it say that Jesus was born in the month of December? Why can't we celebrate him every day? Why can't we celebrate his birth every day? And then the giving of the presents. She was like, why don't we give that? Why don't we do that every day? The things that a lot of people have been accustomed to do in the month of December, her and her kids decided to do that more as a lifestyle on an everyday basis. So that is one thing of changing, of things that you may change. That was one thing that was authentic to her, that changed from when she was growing up. Another thing about choosing yourself is that it allows you to pursue your passions and your goals and to prioritize that. Choosing yourself is also meaning that you are taking responsibility of everything in your life that deals with yourself. This means that that means that that you are the only one who can truly make things happen for yourself and that no one else can do it for you. Yes, we can have support. Yes, we can have help. But it still requires for us to take a step. It also means that you understand that you're not a victim of a circumstance, but you're rather the architect of your own destiny, of your own future, of what you do in life. Choosing yourself also means prioritizing self-care. And that self-care is something that a lot of us are, let's be honest, we're horrible at. Because we may know we need something, but we go and do for everybody else and then leave what's left over for us, where in reality, we should be filling our own cup and everybody else gets the overflow. Self-care also means that, you realize that you're taking care of yourself, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally as well, spiritually. You're looking at the whole person, the mind, body, soul, all of it. It means that you're taking time for your activities, the ones that bring you joy and fulfillment. It may be something as exercise or meditation or yoga or reading a book or just having a moment of silence to just have time with yourself. It also means taking this necessary step to have and implement healthy boundaries in your life. Now, healthy boundaries will help you protect your well-being, and it will also teach you to where you can say no when necessary, and for people to know what lines they can cross and what lines they can't, right? Self-care means really taking care of yourself first. That's self-care. But we would definitely have like a whole episode just on self-care because it can go so deep. And I would love to share some activities, some exercises, some questions to just get our minds going and get us flowing in self-care. So if you're really interested in that, send me a message, leave a comment, and let me know. Yes, give us that episode on self-care. I want all the details. I want the activities. I want the thoughtful questioning and everything. Let me know. But back to choosing yourself. Choosing yourself, it means identifying what truly lights you up. And it's about working towards achieving those things. So choosing yourself and going through the different steps and the different processes and the processing that happens in your brain and in your nervous system. It is a true change, and it changes so much that you can be someone who may take anxiety meds or depression meds or whatever medication that you may be on, or you may not even be on medication. You may just be someone who's living in fear or in doubt. But then once you identify and you start choosing yourself and taking on and implementing the things that you like, that you learn, implementing life-changing techniques and activities, rewiring your mind is life-changing. And why I say it's life-changing, because those meds or that overcoming that fear or being fearful or having that anxious feeling all the time or being sad and depressed all the time, choosing yourself will allow all of that to be non-existent. There have been people who have learned to choose themselves, truly self-reflect, do the necessary steps to make choosing themselves a habit, to learn what it means to do it in a healthy manner. And now they're not on the medications. They're not sad or depressed all the time. They're not living in fear. And so choosing yourself is truly the best thing that we can do. Because I'm telling you, the person I was before, the person that was living in survival mode, she was different from the person who's now thriving, the person who is choosing herself. And just because I'm choosing myself doesn't mean that I'm neglecting my kids or my husband or my mom or grandmother or siblings. It just means that I am filling up my cup first and then sharing that overflow. And are there times to where I choose somebody else and then I'd be like, dang, I really shouldn't have did that. It happens. It truly does. And there's a lot of things now that I'm like, man, if I would have chose myself back then, this different steps wouldn't have happened. But instead of living in regret, I take those as lessons, so therefore I can move on. Choosing yourself is an empowering and life-changing concept. And yes, it's easier said than done. How many times have you heard the phrases, look at the bright side, see the silver lining, keep your chin up? A lot of times when we hear those things, it's because we're feeling different emotions. We may be feeling anxious. We may be feeling sad. We may be feeling depressed. We may be feeling lonely. We may be feeling betrayed. And people tell us those things and we'd be like, okay, whatever. But what I really want to remind you is, out of all of those sayings, I think that the one that I've learned the most from was the phrase, it is not what happens to us that matters. It's how we react to it. I'm going to say that one more time. It is not what happens to us that matters. It's how we react to it. So that's even saying that even though something may be out of our control and it happens to us, we can still gain that control by how we react to it. Is it always easy to react to something that happens to us in the best way? No, it doesn't. And I have a prime example. So yesterday, I come home, me and my husband, we come home, we're coming home from work, and we sit here. And yes, I do have a 9 to 5. I love what I do. Let me rephrase that. I love the concept of what I do. I don't necessarily agree with everything about the company, but I like the concept. Anyway, that's another thing. We ain't gonna talk about that. But anyway, me and my husband, we came home, right? And I immediately like set my backpack down and I go to the door. Like it's all like on my way to the room, you know. And so I crack open the door a little bit and I'm letting the dogs in and everything. And I go to shut the door and I heard something. Tell me why my neighbor that's like catty cornered in my backyard. Oh my goodness. Can we say disrespectful? Oh, the things that he was trying to yell at me and say to me. And then his wife want to get started. And yes, I said some things that I reacted. I met them where they were at. Let's put it that way. Because I literally just came home. I let the dogs in. And get it, my dogs, they don't really bark because they have barking collars to where they can't bark excessively. So they're just going. And my husband, he runs out and he's like, hold on, you're not going to talk to my wife that way. And it was just this big ordeal after everything. And yes, we ended up calling the cops because there was threats and all the other kind of stuff. And y'all, I'm trying to live a peaceful life. I don't bother nobody. I stay in my own lane and everything else. But the purpose of me giving you a snippet of that is to say that in that moment, I reacted by meeting them at their level. I ain't gonna say at that level because they were a little bit higher because they did some threats, and I'm not about that life. I went up there where once it was all said and done, and you know, we calmed down, and I was about to get in the shower. To my husband, I said, I should have just started praying for them. As soon as I opened that door back up and was like, were you talking to me? And he started going off at me. I was like, I should have just started praying for him. That's what I should have done. Of course, my husband laughed at me, but like, I really do wish that, like, in that moment, I didn't level up because I came home peaceful and happy. I should have just stayed my peaceful and happy and just prayed for him. Stood in my back doorway and just prayed for him. So that's about it. That's a little thing about it's not what happened to us that matters. It's how we react to it, because he got me upset. And so my mind just went straight into that fight or flight mode or freeze. And believe me, I did not flight and I did not freeze. Where if I would have just stayed to where I was just calm, I was definitely in fight mode, y'all. I was. It definitely rings true. It's not what happens to us that matters, it's how we react to it. Overall, is that it takes time to learn how to choose ourselves, because most of us are raised to think of others, share, but it wasn't necessarily clear that we're supposed to think of how decisions and actions affect us too when we are thinking of others and sharing. Because at the end of the day, there really should be a balance, because choosing yourself is not selfish as long as there's a boundary and we don't go overboard in choosing ourselves, which means we're not doing it in a manner that we are causing harm to others. Because there's a time to where we can choose ourselves, but we can choose it in a negative way. But we will definitely expand on this more, because with our empowered transformational healing journey, this is about healing. It's about being empowered. It's about being healthy. It's about being your best authentic self. while finding the balance with yourself and life and your well-being. So when we start to choose ourselves, a great place to start is with self-reflection. Now, self-reflection is an essential tool for personal growth and development. It is also the process of looking inward and examining our own thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Now, self-reflection is not about self-criticism or blame. It's about gaining insight and learning and growing as a person. So I am excited for next week to go into all things self-reflection. I just want to thank you for tuning into this episode 10 on choosing yourself, where we discuss that choosing yourself means making a conscious decision to leave survival mode, trauma, and the residual trauma to showing ourselves self-compassion and a willingness to make positive changes in our lives. So again, tune in to next week's episode that will give us valuable information on self-reflection and even how the brain plays a key role in self-reflection, because it's responsible for processing and interpreting the information that we use to evaluate ourselves. We can't live without brain function. So our brains have a lot to do with our process on our journey. So we're really going to start bringing in those concepts as well, right? So again, I want to say thank you to tuning into Empower Transformational Healing with Krystal J, me, your host. And I want to say, remember to like, share, and comment, because I will love to hear from you all. Thank you for joining me today on the Empowered Transformational Healing podcast with me, Krystal J. And we never know what others are going through silently. So take time to share, follow, and subscribe. And as always, believe in all that you are and know that there is this power within you that is greater than any obstacle.